Hello, Evertonians. Welcome to Follow Everton. I'm Ryan, the channel host, and I'm back after a few weeks of absence. And I'm sorry we haven't done any streams recently, but really nice to see you all. And this is the first stream I've got to be able to do because there's been some big news. Michael Keane, the central defender, England former international, central defender, has signed a new 1-year contract, and there is an option for a second year, which means you could have 2 more years of Michael Keane. Now, he is a bit of an enigma as far as I'm concerned. So many howlers, so many bad performances that he was a bit of a joke player, to be honest with you. Many times, a bit of a joke player, making a lot of mistakes, and getting found out in a lot of matches. And to be honest with you, I thought nailed on 6 months ago there was no way we would keep a big earner like Michael Keane, who failed to deliver and fails to deliver on so many times. Now, but the thing is, yes, he had a couple of decent performances towards the end of last season, filling in, but I kind of also understand the other side of the argument for all parties. So Michael Keane lives in Manchester. Uh, he's at most at any point an hour into the city centre, into the stadium, into Finch Farm, even less, to be honest with you. So, he's local. He's earning good money. He was on 80 grand a week, I think, or £90,000 a week before. I hope it's not as much as that. I hope it's more around the £50,000 mark. But he's anyone coming in to not play basically is going to want to be compensated in some way of not playing. So Michael Keane is probably going to be on a fair salary. So I understand why Keane would stay from the motive of I'm going to stay local. I'm going to pick up a decent salary. I'm 32. Do I really want to go and move and play in America and, all this sort of stuff? Maybe there was an opportunity for him to leave. I don't quite know what that would have been. Maybe Burnley or someone would have been interested in the Premier League as well in taking him home. But look, he's a very, very limited defender. I've seen him at times where he's really struggled and not defended his box well. And he's a centre back, and your main job is to head the ball and clear it. And certainly in some of the games at the start of last season, he was really, really poor. And 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 so he's very, very limited. And um, when you take away the ability to do the basics like that, what else do you have? Well, you've got some experience there, but then if it clearly doesn't count for much if you can't do the basics. So very, very limited. He's okay on the ball, but sometimes he looks like an absolute bag of nerves. So I've got mixed feelings about this. I've seen him make a lot of howlers and generally play worse than he is better most of the time. He's not that good. I understand why Keane would stay because of the salary and staying local, and maybe the age factor is coming towards the end and doesn't want the upheaval. I also want to say I understand Everton's perspective on this deal because you've got Jared Brantwaite, who's just signed a new 5-year contract and is a real top defender. You've also got Jake O'Brien, who is more than capable of playing in that defence at Premier League level and excelling. And I think he does well around such a good goalkeeper and other defenders around him. So you got two real talented central defenders in front of him, and yet alone the captain, the on-pitch captain, James Tarkowski, who probably still has 1 or 2 years at this level, and has been really, really solid after a shaky start last season. So he's got three defenders. He's got three defenders in front of him that are better than him. And so Everton, if they're going to go out and sign a centre back, it's going to be a case of, I felt it was going to be someone 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 coming in on short term, 1 or 2 year contract, maybe even a free transfer to come in and basically be an emergency centre back cover for when all three of those are injured. Now, the market probably wasn't that strong for those with Premier League experience. There were a few out there, but there weren't a lot. So I get why Everton wanted to keep him. Now, I think it made sense on that basis that if he can be the fourth choice central defender on reasonably modest wages, because you don't expect him to stay and earn nothing and do nothing, and it could be a good option for us moving forward. And listen, I don't forget the Michael Keanes that would go away from home and be part of defences that would completely capitulate, or being on the ball and giving it away and getting turned over and conceding goals, or getting done in behind, or getting out strength by people who are like 3 foot taller, smaller than him. But the reality is, we are where we are. We can't do everything in one window. I think everyone wants a new left back, a new right back, a new right winger. There's going to be a limit on what we can do. So the last thing we needed probably was to have to start dealing with more issues in central defence. So I'm happy with the defensive group of 4 centre backs and our keeper. There is link this morning about the Lyon left back Talifigo, plays for Argentina. He's 32 years old, maybe coming in on a free transfer from Lyon, who are obviously having some problems. So maybe competition at left back like that would do us well, but we need to obviously find out what the situation is with Mikalenko. He's only got 1 year on his contract. Personally, I think if we had everything else sorted, I'd be like, yeah, left back. Go and get someone like Anthony Robinson at Fulham, who's got engine. And if you only need to make 1 or 2 signings in a window, why not go and bid 40 million for someone like that? But we've got to solve that problem, and the right back problem. Kyle Walker's now going to Burnley. I think his agents just pushed him around everywhere local and said he wants Kyle Walker somewhere he can stay within an hour of Manchester without having to move his wife and his family. So I understand, Everton were interested in Kyle Walker, but we've gone and kept Coleman, which I haven't commented on, but I thought there's a sentimental side of this, and I completely understand that you've got to have the transition into the new stadium. Just give, to retain that core character of the group and the culture and everything, and just to make the transition a bit easier, and also to help embed new signings. But in terms of on the pitch, another player who's not going to really have any contribution whatsoever next season is Coleman. Michael Keane might play half a dozen games, up to maybe 12, depending on injuries. But, Seamus Coleman only played like 3 or 4 games last season. And then I think he only played a dozen games or made a dozen appearances the season before. So he's not playing a lot of minutes, and we've given him another year. So to me, that's just more about being around the group as a leader and offering a little bit more than just playing, because I don't think he's going to play. And let's be honest, we don't want Nathan Patterson anymore. We need a right back, a first choice right back. We're really close to signing the Fulham right back, apparently, Kenny Tete, but obviously that was agents trying to just get a bigger deal out of Fulham. So he stayed at Fulham, and might be a blessing in disguise. I think he's clearly an upgrade on what we had, but he wasn't going to play 38 matches. He's never played 38 Premier League matches. In fact, most appearances are about 25 a year for Kenny Tete. So we'd have needed another right back as a backup, because you can't then rely on Coleman to play right back unless Jake O'Brien is the backup right back. But then what if you have an injury in centre half and you need Jake O'Brien to play centre half, or you need 2 players in every position. So yeah, and also obviously with Calvert-Lewin leaving, we just had so many things that we needed to do. So I completely understand why the deal went through for Michael Keane. Now there's a lot of news recently. This show isn't really for a big in-depth debate. Just going to brush over that as well. Everton are back at pre-season training, all 5 of them. Reported to Finch Farm, and they are doing pre-season testing. I don't know how many players are there. I think McNeil, Mikalenko are there. But, there's probably only a dozen players at Finch Farm, maybe less. And that is because a few players were still on international duty. And Everton also, of course, haven't got many players because they released or let go quite a lot of them. One being Calvert-Lewin, who looks to be replaced by the France under-21 international striker, Tierno Barry. Right, guys, thank you so much. It was short and sweet. I've got to go off to work now. I just wanted to give my thoughts on Michael Keane. I've been away on holiday, so I haven't been able to do anything. I do apologise. We missed big news on Coleman, Calvert-Lewin, the new kit, and some transfer stuff. But I promise you now, We're going to have tons of content moving forward, especially as the Blues have returned to pre-season. And anything on the transfers will bring you breaking live. So make sure you like and subscribe so you can be the first to hear it here. Thank you. Take care. Bye.